Hi guys, so in this lab I'm actually going to show you how to protect the user mode and the privilege mode of your network switch. This is a Cisco Catalyst 2960 switch. It has 26 ports with 24 fast Ethernet ports and 2 gigabit enabled ports. So usually you should connect to the switch by just plugging your console cable to this port and connecting the other end of the console cable to your computer. So by doing that, with the help of the PuTTY application, you should have access to the CLI of the switch. So because I'm actually using a packet tracer, this is a virtualized environment, I can have direct access by clicking the CLI tab. So this is similar to what you see physically when you connect to the console port. So you immediately get into the user mode by default of the switch. From this mode, you can see that we have some useful information like the software version that's running on this switch. We can also see the serial number and the model number of the switch as well. We can also run some show commands to show VLAN's information or to show information concerning IP and IP information as well from the user mode. So from this mode, we can as well get into more privileged mode that will enable us to reboot the switch or delete a file from the switch by entering the enable command. So the enable command enables you to go into the privilege mode where you'll be able to reload your switch or run some more serious commands here. So it's ideal that we protect both the user mode and the enable mode of the switch. So to do that, I need to go into the configure mode by typing the configure terminal command. So this gets me into the config mode of the switch. You can see that I'm in the config mode of the switch. So I need to protect the console port by typing line console 0, and then I specify password and enter the actual password I want to use. In this case, my password will be Cisco123. Then one last command is I need to specify the login command. This command tells the switch to always request for authentication whenever someone attempts to log in from the console port. So without the login command, despite the fact that you have set a password for that port, the switch will not ask a user to authenticate. So it's always we should always remember to also type the login command while trying to protect the console port. So if I exit and start afresh, you see I've been asked to verify my identity by entering the password to get into the user mode. So I use Cisco123 and now I'm in the user mode. But if you notice, I can also get into the enable mode again without being asked to authenticate. So to protect the enable mode, I need to get into the configure terminal. The configure mode is the only mode where we can actually make configuration changes to the switch. So at every point in time, if you need to configure a port or make changes to your switch, you need to get into the configure mode. So I'll use the enable secret command to put a password on the enable mode, and here I will specify Cisco 456 as my password. So if I hit enter, I don't need to give the login command here. So once I exit, you can see I'm asked to get a password, but this is for the user mode, so Cisco123. So I'm in the user mode now. I also want to get to the privilege mode by typing the enable command, but I hope the switch would ask me for a password since I've protected the enable mode as well. So it's asking me for password to get into the enable mode. I will enter the password, which is Cisco 456. So now I can actually reload my switch because I'm in the enable mode. So this is how you protect the user mode and the privilege mode. But we also need to protect the virtual terminals, which are what we use to connect for remote access. So the Cisco has about 16 VTY lines, which means it supports up to 16 active connections, remote active connections. So we want to protect all those lines so that users will identify or authenticate themselves before getting access remotely. Sorry, I'm just all right. So to protect the terminal lines, I enter the command line VTY 0 to 15. So like I mentioned, Cisco has 16 terminal lines starting with number 0, not 1. So to protect all the lines, we run the command line VTY 0 space 15. And then I'll give the password command and I'll specify Cisco 789 as a password. So I don't have a remote switch to test the configuration, but you could actually see from the show run config that we protected the enable mode using the enable secret. So if you note, this is a password we typed, but because we use the enable secret command instead of enable password, the password has been hashed for a better security. But every other password we entered using this password command, it's not encrypted. So we can see that we use Cisco 123 for the console password. We use Cisco 789 for the VTY lines and as well. So that's that for protecting your switch from unauthorized access.